Hello and welcome NECA Capers. In today's video, I will be talking about Mob Psycho 100 Season 1 Episodes 7 to 12. As thugs from other middle school gangs hear about white tea poison and make moves to defeat him, Ritsu meets Dimple and gradually learns about and improves his psychic powers. Being given further training by Ritsu's Dimples is getting reckless. Eventually, they runs into Teru and attempts to fight him despite Dimple's warnings. Teru's experience and already strong psychic powers nearly overwhelms Ritsu as he is forced to flee. Meanwhile, Mob encounters two con artists trying to swindle him for money for expensive mace he damaged. However, Reigen arrives and bails out Mob by turning the tables against the con artists. Due to his newfound power, he ends up making Kimuro pay for his dubious deeds by directing those who want to defeat the white shirt poison. With his growing psychic powers and Dimple's guidance, Ritsu develops a superiority complex. Ritsu then confronts the other middle school gang thugs in an alley and uses his psychic powers to easily subdue them. As Ritsu defeats the thugs, Mob arrives. Mob is led by Teru to Ritsu and the middle school's thugs. Mob is happy to see that Ritsu has finally developed psychic powers. Ritsu, still relishing in his powers, attempts to end his relationship with Mob, but is shocked to see Mob protecting him by apologizing on his behalf to the thugs. The thugs make Mob get on his knees and grovel to them. Nearby, an adult esper named Kageyama is watching this. Koyama intervenes and attempts to kidnap Ritsu after mistaking him for Shigeo. Elsewhere, Sakurai, another adult esper working with Koyama, infiltrates the Awakening Lab and kidnaps the subjects. When Ritsu gets hurt by Koyama, Mob becomes enraged and goes 100%, overwhelming Koyama. Koyama uses a cursed spray on Mob to knock him out, but it doesn't work and Mob wakes up again, which forces Koyama to escape with Ritsu. Teru and Dimple rescue Mob and take him to Teru's apartment to recover. Teru reveals to Mob and Dimple that Ritsu was kidnapped by a member, Koyama, of Claw, a criminal organization of espers bent on world domination, who have kidnapped other young adolescent espers to brainwash them and use them for their nefarious plans. Dimple informs Mob and Teru that Koyama may have found out about the Kageyama brothers from the Awakening Lab. The trio arrive at the lab and question its founder, Kenji Mitsuura, about what happened. Meanwhile, Koyama and Sakurai take Ritsu and the Awakening subjects to a Claw hideout called the 7th Division. They enter Claw's 7th Division building. Sakurai is amazed that Ritsu managed to hurt Koyama, but Koyama explains it was another esper kid, and he had to use the cursed spray on him and escape because he can't kill Mob. The appearance of another upper echelon Teruda. He knows the situation between Koyama and Sakurai, and them that he will help them and make sure the division leader doesn't know about it. Teruda goes with some of his men and gets big head and thinks that he can beat Mob, but he underestimates Mob because his opponent is just a kid. And Teruda ends up letting his guard down and is easily defeated. Then Teru torturing to make speak him and Teruda spills out everything. Meanwhile, the upper echelon members of 7th Division have a meeting and their division leader informs them that the boss will be returning to Japan in a month. Ritsu and the other espers are talking with Muto, who tries to convince them to join Claw. As they refuse, he takes one of the twins, Kaido, and kills him in the other room and shows them his body. Ritsu make a plan for escape, and he manages to get out of the cell and go into the camera's blind spot as he take down the guards. The upper echelon know there is intruders and Koyama heads out to face Mob and kill him this time. But the fight didn't last long and was immediately won by the Mob. Ritsu and the rest manage to find Kaido and sneak in to free him, but they get caught. But a man decides to let them go, explaining that they don't stand a chance against psychics. Teru, Dimple, and Mob decide to split up. Dimple ends in a strange-looking door and some men come out of it. Entering the room, one of the men explains it is the awakening room, where they use pain to try and awaken the powers in someone. Upper echelon member Matsuo appears and wants Dimple for his collection. Miyagawa appears, engulfing everything in flames, and says he will show him real pyrokinesis, but lost in a humiliating way. Sho brings Ritsu and Mob to the division leader, and moments later, Matsuo arrives as he had captured Dimple too, and says that he threw him in a jar with 100 evil spirits, which is a method to produce one very powerful spirit. Hoshino and the rest of the espers manage to reach the front gates, but see the guards bowing and sense a strong esper power, guessing the boss is coming. Arataka Reigen then enters the building. Reigen, tracking Mob's cell phone, arrives at 7th Division. The claw lackeys guarding the entrance try to stop Reigen, but they let him in when they mistakenly believe he is the leader of Claw. Reigen uses this facade to help the awakening subjects escape and attempt to convince the lackeys the error of their ways. Elsewhere, Mob, Teru, and Ritsu are trapped in a cursed room. Reigen eventually arrives and is able to free the 3 young espers. While trying to leave, Mob, Reigen, Teru, and Ritsu are confronted by 7th Division leader Ishiguro and the 3 remaining Scars Sakurai, Matsuo, and Miraki. Reigen convinces the lackeys to leave Claw and make something of their lives. Reigen eventually learns that Mob begrudgingly broke his promise to not use psychic powers against people. While Teru and Ritsu fight against the Scars, Mob is stressed whether to use his psychic powers to save his friends or to run away as advised by Reigen. As Mob is about to go 100% with murderous intent, Reigen snaps him out of it and tells Mob that he will end up suffering from his actions, and that it's okay to run away and save himself. A brief flashback is shown to when Mob as a child first met Reigen about helping control his budding psychic powers. Sakurai comes up behind Reigen and cuts him down in front of Mob. This results in Mob going 100%. Reigen is miraculously uninjured from Sakurai's attack and proceeds to take on the Scars. The Scars' psychic attacks have no effect against Reigen. It's revealed that Reigen's words of wisdom to Mob, just as he was about to go 100%, changed the flow of his psychic energy. Mob subconsciously sent his psychic energy into Reigen, thereby running away. The psychic energy in Reigen goes 1000% with gratitude. Once he incapacitates Ishiguro, Reigen chastises the Scars for their delusions of grandeur, saying that even with psychic powers they are still human. Reigen's words drag Sakurai and Miraki back into reality. Ishiguro, having recovered, rejects Reigen's philosophical views by claiming that psychics are elite and superior to the rest of humanity, and they should be worshipped. Mob counters Ishiguro by saying that having psychic powers doesn't make one popular. Ishiguro snaps and starts gathering psychic energy to destroy the 7th Division and everyone in it. Reigen then loses Mob's psychic energy. Shu arrives and proceeds to take down Ishiguro and 7th Division. Shu expresses disappointment in Mob before he leaves. Dimple finally escapes Matsuo's evil spirit jar and knocks him out. The fight ends and Mob, Reigen, Ritsu, Teru, and Dimple move on with their everyday lives. A post-credit scene shows Mob and Reigen trying to hunt down a mythical Tsuchinoko, but Reigen ends up instead gathering a lot of mushrooms. Mob exorcises a spirit that may have been a Tsuchinoko, but is told by Reigen they don't exist. Episode 12 concludes the first season of Mon Psycho. Of course, the story is still far from over. If you want to know the continuation, stay tuned to our channel. And if you like the video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That being said, see you later in the next video.